All right. Well, welcome everybody. I feel like now I have to do like an official welcome for the recording purposes. So, we're excited to be here on our third and final session that is Lit Labs. So fall 2025 Lit semester, I guess we'll call it, is consists of Lit Labs, Lit Spotlights, which are coming up next. And then we'll have This Party is Lit will be the capstone at the end. But we'll tell you all about that a little bit later. Uh, Purpose for today is to kind of see what's out there, see what people worked on as part of the Lit Labs sprint the past couple of weeks that we've been working on. But also if there are any projects, Megan just said this to the group, but I want to make sure that this is in the recording as well. So it's clear that, we want to see if there's any other projects that are out there that people are working on, any cool stuff you've got, demos or just anything really that you want to share with the group, get feedback on, or just have a recording to share with others. We're here for that. So we've dropped a link in the chat. Hopefully we have people who are ready to share. I know we've got at least one group from Lit Labs that is ready to share. So Megan, are there any other announcements or anything else we need to say, or should we just turn it over to Hytham?
I am wondering, are we ready yet to talk about any of the program for the Lit Spotlight series that are coming up in October? Do we have anything about a call for proposals for This Party is Lit? And Meg, can you describe what This Party is Lit is? Because
Yeah.
unless you know, like, our sense of humor, that might not be obvious for folks.
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about that now. So, coming up next week, actually on Thursday, October 2nd, not only is it my wedding anniversary, but we also get our first lit spotlight session. And so, we will be hearing from Doug DeVitra, who has been part of the Lit Labs sessions as well. And let's see, Jamie, do you have at the ready the link to our lit library, we're calling it? It's a page where we kind of have the whole schedule of things um, mapped out. And I can actually share my screen and pull that up right now too. Um, Making my way back to Zoom. All right, sharing screen, share. Okay. Um, All right, so we've got this page, which you can get to from our website, and the link was just dropped into the chat there as well. So we've got Lit Labs are shown there as well, and then this is our first Lit Spotlight session, Learning in the Wild, How AI Drives Real-World Behavior Change in Family Justice. So Doug has some really cool stuff that he's pulled together using AI that we're excited to share with the larger community. We have three more Lit Spotlight sessions. So we have like not a break between this and the next week, but then they'll come every other week after that. So they're bi-weekly lit spotlights. Um, More details coming soon, but we've got one scheduled for October 16th. We've got another one and scheduled for the 30th. This schedule will be updated very shortly. This one will be Chris Tompkins and colleagues at Watershed will be presenting on the 30th, and then we're ending on the spotlight sessions on November 13th. Shelley Blake Pock will be talking about
Total
where's ours?
learning architecture.
Thank you. TLA, Total Learning Architecture, and the work that is being done to write a book about that. So that is all coming up. I'm super excited for all of those sessions. And then we're going to be capping that all off with This Party is Lit, which will be an in-person event in Troy, Michigan. So if you're excited to come to Michigan in November, we'd love to have you here. Or maybe you already live in Michigan and you want to come on over to Troy. And this, we have the save the date right now. We plan to have a call for presentations or call for speakers for that will be coming out. I believe it's either later this week or next week. We have a few details to wrap up on that, but that is coming very soon. And what else do we say? Anything else you want to say about This Party's Lit, Megan?
So this party is lit is we've got lots of things that happen virtually leading up until that. That is a in-person only event. It's at a fantastic venue. So MVP Collaborative, they do all sorts of events, sometimes learning events, sometimes marketing events. But I'm really excited about that. It is an opportunity for us to hear from a wide variety of people doing learning technology work in Southeast Michigan and anybody else who will fly in for it. So I'm super excited about that. I think we need to cap our seats. I can't quite remember, Jamie, maybe you do. I think we need to cap registration at 85 for that. So we'll just want to watch for that, make sure we get folks signed up as soon as that comes out. And do we have a sense for a call for proposals when that will be out, Meg? Or is that out?
Yep, that will be out next week. It's coming
Okay,
out. So,
awesome,
yep.
awesome.
So that is what's ahead, and what we're excited to share with you all in the future. Um, and just for anybody who hasn't been as involved, I'll just do a very quick brief overview of the Lit Labs mural board, so you can kind of see where we started from and where we are today. So and this is an open mural board anybody can come to, and you can kind of check out and see what's here. So we've got a PowerPoint at the top. If you click on it, you can shuffle through it and see some information about what's to come. And about lit in general, and all the things we have planned, including some information about what our intent is for this community, and the tools that we're using for it. If you were ever involved in the xAPI cohort, you will see that there has been a little bit of traffic on that xAPI cohort Slack, which we co-opted just for this first round of Lit. And then there's some instructions up here at the front, and then each team, it was sort of, all right, we will release you, and you find yourself a board and team, and kind of organically the teams came together around some project challenges or ideas or problems to solve, that organically kind of came from the group as we went. So each team had a frame, and then worked through things that way and met outside of the meetings that we had as a group together. And our intent today is to just get hey, what have you worked on to date? You're certainly welcome to keep meeting as a team if you have stuff rolling and in motion and you want to see more of it and want to see where it goes. But we're not going to have additional weekly meetings to do check-ins or report out. We would, of course, love to know, if there is an evolution of the work that you did in Lit Labs, where that ends up going, and send us updates at any time. So the hope today is that we have everybody who wants to share out will post their name and team number and name up here, or if you don't have a team project and you just want to share out some of your work outside of Lit Labs, you can post your name on a post-it here at any time as we go. But right now we've got one team. We're going to team 4. High Thumb has graciously agreed to go first. So I'm gonna pass it over to you. I thought I will stop sharing my screen and let you take over.
Thank you, Meg. Hello,
Mhm.
everyone. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. And Joan, you're online, right? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Here.
All right,
Oh,
awesome. Joan is actually gonna go ahead of me and talk a little bit about what we've done.
Well, actually, is what Hytham's done. My job is to ask questions. And so I joined Hytham's team because I'm interested in learning in the flow, which was one of the topics that was on the mural board as recommended. And I am interested in that because I do a lot of, and I'm sure everybody else does this, but personal development. And lately it's been in the AI space just out of personal interest. And a little bit about me and my background. I tend to sit between instructional designers and developers. So I know about instructional design, but I don't do it. But I work with people who do. And I used to be a software developer, but I don't do production software anymore. But I work with people that do. So I'm in the middle, and I've always wanted to try to keep up with tech. And so, of course, there's AI, which I'm interested in. I type my little question in the chat box, and then I get a little answer back. And I say, well, how does this all work? And so I asked my little buddy, ChatGPT, to help me learn AI and develop a learning plan, which it did, and it's project-based, like Lit is here. And in working through the projects, I realized I didn't know as much as I thought I did because I attended a lot of meetups on AI, but apparently I don't know as much as I did. And most of what I thought I knew or know are misconceptions. So then I said, okay, I'm interested in learning in the flow. Hytham's, I think on the mural board talked about misconceptions and clustering and data sciencey stuff that I don't know. And so I joined the team and then maybe Hytham, do you want to talk about your interest? Oh,
Sorry.
basically, and how you joined the team because I gave my whole life.
Yeah,
Thought you might want
yeah, sorry. Okay. I thought I was on mute. Sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, so I think I talked a little bit about it the last time we met.
yeah.
I've been looking into data science. I mentioned that I did a lot of work personally and in a project context with xAPI. And I was just, I'm trying to, you can build all these data sets, xAPI data sets, and I wanted to figure out a way to make sense of the data and have like, okay, I have this data, what am I going to do with it? And that's the reason why I guess I kind of jumped into this because I saw an opportunity to work with xAPI data, apply some data science to it, and then beyond that, apply some AI to it.
Yeah, and then Hytham's become my IRL chat GPT. So instead of, okay, what's a GPT? And I ask Hytham these questions now. So for the presentation, we decided we'd use cybersecurity and IT as a topic, because again, my interests tend to be more personal learning and not necessarily learning and development topics for workplace. But cybersecurity is one that is broad enough that we thought it would resonate with many people. So in the diagram here, mix-up fixer would be the Chat GPT or the Claude or the AI-enabled chatbot. The learner would be me, the one with the misconceptions, and I would type in a comment or question to the mix-up fixer. And then Hytham can explain what happens after that.
Thank you, Joan. Before I jump in, if it's okay, would you like to share what you call your chat buddy? Or you have a name for it? And
Chat
if
GPT. Oh, Chat GPT is my little buddy. And then discovered Claude because I heard Claude was better at coding than ChatGPT. And so I feel like I started cheating on ChatGPT when I started seeing Claude. As my sister said, we have an open relationship in the AI world. So I use ChatGPT, my little buddy, and I call Claude now Claudette. So yeah, those are my names for my AI buddies.
Thank you, Joan.
And
And
now
Joan
Mix Up
is,
Fixer. Mix Up Fixer is a new one.
yeah, Joan is so humble. John is pretty technically savvy. She's a coder. She knows everything. She said she doesn't mess with code. She's good at it. So just wanted to point that out.
So thank you.
Okay. So uh, just going back to the flow diagram, as Joan mentioned, Joan herself or any user will type a question, and I'll demo this later on, but just wanted to show how everything flows. When a question or a comment is typed, the system detects if there's a mix-up. And obviously, this is a prototype, so everything is structured in a way where it's not the full functionality, right? And then we'll talk about real world MVPs and things of what needs to be in them. But at this point, the mix-up is detected, or the system tries to detect if there's a mix-up based on what the user entered. The way it detects the mix-up is looking at keywords. So we have clusters for mix-ups. The clusters are built over time from the wrong answers entered by users, for example, within the organization. And they try to be, this is the data science piece of it, the clusters groups wrong answers into buckets per se. And for each bucket, for each cluster, technically there are fixes for that cluster. So if a person is unaware of how to handle links in email, for example, that's a cluster. And the fix for it is basically give them instructions on how to avoid that. So, and then for each cluster, there are keywords. So if any of those keywords, for example, links, email, those are all keywords. And based on what the user enters, the system looks for those keywords and tries to match the entry to the clusters that are available. Once so let's say in this case for our prototype, we have 5 clusters. Once a cluster has, so there's math in figuring out the cluster based on the keywords again. Once the cluster is figured out, the one with the highest scores, uh, for each cluster, there's a label, and that's what gets sent to the AI, just in a nutshell. And I think it's going to get a little bit more clear once we show the prototype. So if a cluster is figured out, again, there is a snippet that's attached to the cluster or a fix, and those are the things that get sent to the LLM down here. The LLM takes the fix, takes the cluster itself, the label of the cluster, and then builds a message. And then we're also adding the RAG piece of it. We're adding knowledge base to the response of the LLM. So the LLM is actually looking up the knowledge base. Internal knowledge bases can be SOPs, it can be guides. Those are also fed to the LLM for two things, for the response, and then at the end, we're providing a practice question and to the user themselves once a misconception is detected. Now, there's also a chance that there's no misconception detected. So, for example, if user enters a comment or a question, and any misconception is not detected, we want to show them an answer too. So it's a friendly notice will come up that says no clear misconception detected, but at the same time, it gives some recommendations. For example, I think the use case that we're using in the prototype is someone traveling. So it just gives like a short travel cyber checklist with some recommendation. And if based on the comment entered, if there's any relevant documentation that was fed earlier that's present, internal documentation, SOP, again, SOP guide, those will be cited. So let me just jump into the prototype real quickly. And I will share my screen here. 1 second. Sorry, did anyone say anything?
Nope.
Is that... Oh, okay.
Keep going. We're all good.
All right, sounds good. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right,
Love that you
awesome.
included the logo,
Yes.
your team logo.
And it might look a little bit pixelated. I'm not a designer. I'm not a visual person. I apologize for the atrocity if it doesn't look okay. But here's the prototype per se, the mix-up fixer. Again, the way we programmed it is using Llama, which is basically a local model propagator, basically, that you can download and run from your machine. It uses mostly meta models or LLMs. So we're using Llama 3.2, 3 billion parameters. So that's the one that we're using for here. Obviously this is just a low parameters model for practical use. There are models that use 80 billion parameters. But for this prototype or for this demo sake, we're using a one that has a lower parameter count. So user comes in here, Joan comes in here. She can, for example, if she wanted to, um, we have sample questions here, and we can load them. For example, is it safe to email passwords or social security numbers inside the company? What it does, it loads the question in here. This is the last wrong answer. This comes from xAPI. So, for example, if one user within the organization pick this answer, then it gets tagged, and gets assigned to that cluster. So I'll run it, and as you can see here, lots of Olympic sports are being performed at this time. It will happen in a moment. Wait for it. There we go. So the likely mix-up, this is the cluster that I talked about. This is the bucket for this particular question. And this is the response that came back from the LLM. So as a mix-up fixer, I'm here to set the record straight. Don't assume standard corporate email is secure, and gives instructions on what to avoid, what to do, things of that nature. It cites the source. This is, again, coming from the internal documentation. And then last but not least, it gives a 1-minute practice question. Asks the user question, hey, you must share a file with customer SSNs or social security numbers internally. What is the appropriate method? Ideally, it's actually an MCQ. The user picks the question, answers it, and it sends or picks the answer and hit submit, and it will send it back to the LRS, for example. But it shows the answer key here. Basically, the recommendation is, or the answer here is to use an approved encrypted company file share portal, blah, blah, blah. So in this case here, the LLM is actually coming up with this answer here, and the practice question. Those are two things, and they're all based on what we're feeding the LLM. So they're based on the cluster, its label, the fixes, and the internal documentation of the RAG end of it. I want to show the other path, so I'm just going to reset it here, and we'll enter a question that's not clustered, basically. So I know that it's not, and I'll just enter what is the dress code, and I'll try to run it. Right away it comes back. There's no clear misconception. I talked this in the diagram earlier. And it gives just, safe travel basics at this point, because again, the context here is traveling. And again, just a 1 minute practice regarding the context that I just talked about. And that's for the most part, that's how it operates. One thing that I'd like to show actually is, let me just reset it. And I will actually use this one. What is the coffee shop next to gate 12? And I'll hit 1. Actually, let me stop it. And I'll run this again. I just wanted to show you some of the data structures that are in the backend. Again, Olympic sports are happening in the background. It would be nice if I can put like a video here showing what people are doing in the background. There we go. So this is the def trace. This is the detected cluster. It's C2, that's the cluster. This is the label of the cluster. This is the score. So the cluster with the highest score, like I said, in the prototype, we have about 5 or 6 clusters. The cluster with the highest score is the one that gets picked. These are all chosen snippet. This is coming from the internal documentation, the RAG piece of it. Practice raw, practice normalized. This is the question and answer that are being displayed to the user. And this is the xAPI preview. I just wanted to show what it might look like once the user or learner answers the last question. All right, I think that's it. I'm not sure if Joan, if you wanted to add anything. Oh, one thing. So in the context of an MP, or if we wanted to transfer this into an MVP, obviously lots of other things are going to be in place. For example, from a RAG perspective, we would use orchestrators like from Haystack, rather than having the data manually in here. Probably different LLMs for that purpose. So I think in my mind, and just based on the way it was put together, it would be easier it's going to be an easy process basically to transfer it into something that can actually work in a real time or real life. So, Joan, do you have anything else to add?
No, you've talked about the xAPI integration. The only other thing I was thinking about maybe on my end, I'm using Jan.ai, which is like a chat GPT open source project. I'm using that along with chat GPT to learn about the model context protocol and orchestrating agents and that kind of thing. So I'd be interested in using Jan to integrate with what Hytham has already done. And then of course, learning
Both
more
of us, not just me, both of
you
us.
just well, Hytham did the work. I just, like I said, I talk and I ask questions, but to have something tangible to contribute to the project. So that's what I'd like to add to the next. Will there be another sprint? Our next internal Hytham and Jones sprint.
Yeah.
So that's it for me.
All right. Any questions? There might have been some questions in the chat. Let me just check.
I think we covered them. So Mary Elizabeth asked what happens if it doesn't find any clear references to discern whether the question includes a mix-up.
Yeah, and I think that's the second path basically. So in this case, if there's no misconception, as I mentioned, it shows kind of a recommendation. Like it will tell the learner that there's no misconception, but here are certain things within the context that you mentioned that will help you through the journey.
Yeah, I was also kind of wondering, I mean, that gives a false sense of confidence, right? If it's not detecting a misconception, but is there a way for the user to know that it's saying I don't know rather than I found that there is no misconception?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a message that was built. Obviously, I'm not an ID. So yeah, that will be, for example, the word that an ID will add to this concept or this project. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. Does that answer your question, Mary?
It does, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I wonder if that's a third path or if you see that as part of the second path.
So the second path at this point is just if nothing was detected, right? We have like 5 clusters, and we can add as many clusters as we want. So if nothing's detected, that's the second path. And then obviously there needs to be some keying with regards to the context itself. So when I ran it earlier, I think it was, let me just reset it. It was, what is the dress code? So, maybe, yeah, maybe we'll have like a different path where there are actually other context in question. But yeah, it's something to think about. Again, for the purposes of the prototype here, it's just like 0 and 1, and no other branches.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a super interesting idea. And this is coming from somebody who is not a developer, who is an ID. But I'm wondering if in your RAG, if you prioritize sources. So maybe you have internal sources, and then it can go look in a bigger LLM to give context if it doesn't find something internal, but make sure the user knows that that's what it did.
Yeah, and actually this is a good time to show you the prompts. But yes, you can definitely do just that, prioritize internal sources. Let me 1 second. All right. Ooh. Stop share. And okay, so this block right here is the prompt. Actually, this is the one for the question, but for the first answer, this is the prompt. You're a mix-up fixer. Rewrite the explanation below in less than 120 words, and then you feed it the misconception itself and the explanation, which is again tagged to the cluster. From a question standpoint, create one quick check question. to diagnose the misconception, and what you're feeding it is the cluster itself or the cluster label and the reference snippet. So the source snippet is the RAG piece of it or the internal documentation. But yeah, you can prioritize, and once you get into RAG and the for example an algorithm like BM25, you can set priorities, for the LLMs, like like what you just explained.
Hi, Joan, is this all running locally? So no internet access? So it'd be good for like low bandwidth, high security, those kinds of things too?
Yep, absolutely. Everything is running from my machine. So you can see here it says localhost and just ton of stuff.
Yeah, and that's one
Uh,
reason I'm using Jan is because I can download. I guess you can do that in LM Studio. Is that what you mentioned, Hytham? But I guess
Yeah.
my familiar chat GPT interface, and I can download different models that can run on my machine.
Mhm.
And I can run the Llama one on my machine too. And then compare the different models with different prompts and that kind of thing. And even some of the MCP servers I can run on my machine too. So it's been interesting.
Super, super cool.
Yeah, and I have a MacBook M2 for comparison.
Yeah, and if there's anything, even beyond this session, if there's anything that anyone who's here comes up with as an idea or something that will make this better, please reach out to us. The mirror board, you can add stuff to the mirror board if you want it. Obviously I'm a techie, I'm a zeros and ones person. I don't have that ID background. And there are a lot of people here who have that background, really good at it. So any suggestions, reroutes are will be welcome, basically.
Super, super cool.
I just realized I off mute this whole time. I didn't realize. I hope I wasn't sneezing or anything. Um, I was just going to ask a question because I think once in your chat early on you mentioned maybe using N8N. I think is that what it's called? I played with it now. I forgot what it's called. I think it is N8N. It's basically a way of connecting a bunch of different. It's kind of like a Zapier type thing where you can connect a bunch of different things together, services, but one of them is, obviously based around LLMs. And, they have a cloud version, but they also have an open source version that you can download. Um, I don't think you use that in this case, right? To kind of connect anything together. You just kind of connect things with code.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that would be a possibility for handling some of the orchestration of the RAG and some of that. I've started to play with it a little bit, but it's kind of it's easy to get started, but then it gets complicated really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start
Yeah.
to try to, and it's still occasionally a little buggy too, but um, I'm just wondering if that was a consideration in this, or if you decided it was just easier to kind of.
Yeah. Obviously, we didn't have enough time, and hence, why the simplicity of the prototype. But yeah, those are the types of things like we talked about an MVP and what needs to be part of it, orchestration and um, um, things like a N8N. Um, John talked about a couple others too that could be incorporated here to make the process easier and smoother per se. But yes, to answer your question, Matt, yes, that's something that will probably be part of the next phase of this.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I feel like it's still in the stage where there's a lot of pieces that you have to connect to get
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
these things. And then each piece has its own kind of deep well of learning how this particular tool works. And then you connect it to
Mhm.
another, and then there's a deep well of that. But hopefully it's getting easier. But it's just there's a lot of things floating here and there, and all these new, like I hadn't heard about the Jan um, app until you mentioned it in your chat. So thanks for that. I played with LM Studio, which is kind of a similar type of thing where you just download local open source models and
Yeah.
play with those. But I'll have to try out the Jan app.
Yeah, so everything is written in Python. I was showing the code earlier, and Python actually has a Llama package, so it just downloads it. I also have a Windows. Actually, let me see if I can bring it up. Yeah, I can. Yep. So I'm not trying to advertise it. I'm not a big fan of using it, but it's easy to work with, for prototypes and things of that nature. But let me just drag it over here. That'll be easier. There we go. So this is just a desktop app of Llama, which uses a lot of meta models, and you can download them here. Excuse me. Pick and choose which ones to download. You can, if you wanted to use DeepSeek, I guess you can use it here. So this is another just handy tool that you can work with locally.
And I have Jan. I mean, I can show it briefly if you'd like, but the addition that I've noticed that Jan has that I don't think LM Studio has is the assistants. So you know how you can have assistants in ChatGPT? You can set those up in Jan.
Yeah, I think for Joan and I, the biggest thing is to come up with a manifestation of the idea, or actually the two ideas. So one of them was consuming xAPI data, and the other one was to go or help learners in the flow of things, or in the flow of work, sorry. So it's just like, how do you do that, right? And what really, because we started like going into rabbit holes. But I think we just stopped ourselves. We were like, okay, we only have 1 week because this all happened last week. We only have 1 week, so let's just start small and go from there. And starting small was to basically just build a prototype with some data and some sets that will mimic real, real life, xAPI data, and obviously we use the large language model, mimic how RAG will work. But this gives us a pretty clear platform on how to transform this into something that will work at a larger scale.
Awesome. Hey, Team A, first of all, thanks for taking the plunge, jumping in, doing a project and demoing. So everybody either come off mute or come off camera or use the react buttons to give this team a round of applause. This was awesome work. So I love it, love it, love it. Team one, I'm not sure. At one point, it looked like Team one was putting their name on a sticky note to be able to demo their work, and then it came off. So, Team one, if that's something you want to demo, go ahead. Anybody else who'd like to demo? But in the meantime, so you can either put your if you want to demo, put yourself up on the Miro board, or you could just put it in Slack and say, or in the, not Slack, in the chat here and say, hey, I want a demo, and go right ahead and do that. Everybody else, there's some questions, or Kushi has a question in the chat. Do you have recommendations, because YouTube has too many, speaking of rabbit holes, how to start building with AI? My background is non-technical, instructional designer background. So Joan, Hytham, Matt, anybody, Brian, anybody else who's here, Peter? For those of you who I know are the developer-y sorts, where would you point your non-developer-y sorts if they wanted to get into this?
Oh, I was writing in the chat as you were talking, Megan. It depends on what you want to build. I have built a few things just, for prototyping, just by asking ChatGPT and Claude to build it for me. And they build it, but then I have to deploy it somewhere so I can use it. And so because I know people say, oh, you can use AI to build apps for you. You don't need a developer. Well, sometimes it doesn't work, and then you have to deploy it and put it on a server somewhere so other people can get to it. So I guess my question is, what kinds of things do you want to build? Is it like software? Is it learning modules? Our instructional designers use AI products, not necessarily chatbots, but AI products to for images, for their modules and courses, for voice manipulation. Manipulation sounds so bad, but voice corrections, audio corrections and video, and those kinds of things. So for generating the content that goes in the modules, for generating quiz questions. So it's kind of hard to say where to start without knowing what the end result would be. Oh, you would want the end result to be.
Gushi, you want to come off mute and let us know what you had in mind, or was it just a general question?
Hi, thank you so much, Joanne. Hi, everyone. I'm new to this group. I'm really excited to join this group. I've been really looking forward to join this call today since I've been fan and following up Megan's emails, newsletters, everything. So to cut it short, Joanne, my question was more related to how do I start building something like a chat bot or maybe like an AI agent so that I can deploy it as as something for learners. So I come from an instructional design background, and what I'm looking for is for my team to just get started on basic learning journey. So for example, if I want to start building an AI agent who can answer the questions for me, for example, here is a document that I got from my stakeholders. This is the needs analysis that I did. Can you answer these questions? Like I want to have a conversation with that AI chatbot. Sorry.
Don't worry, there's some audio interference.
Okay, no worries. So what I'm trying to get into is have build an AI agent. I've tried it with ChatGPT, Claude. It gives me JSON files, and I tried learning Python. I got into SQL a little bit, and I ended up learning Power BI. So, which got me good edge at my current job role. But I've been trying to, bring myself up to speed to just build those AI agents, so that I can actually narrow down the instructional design work, sort of have those conversations with those chatbots. So I've tried researching on YouTube, following a few communities, sort of did not help. And that was one of my reasons to join this community, because I'm looking forward to talk through real experiences, real challenges. I guess that's what it's come down to. So any suggestions, I'm happy to hear them.
Awesome. Kushi, that sounds like the kind of thing, right? So, as we think about this, is probably a really great time to talk about it. So what we're trying to accomplish with the lit community is bring together innovators and people who have ideas and people who want to learn things into a space and provide that space for that to happen. So lit isn't a tutorial so much as a community and a space. Every semester we will have, and actually I'll grab the board here and walk through just to kind of give everybody an orientation of what to expect to come next, because we've got more coming next. So get up here. There we go. There are three components to LIT. The first is what we just did, which is a 2-week hackathon kind of style learning event. What we're toying around with, would love your comments and thoughts in the chat. And actually, let me open up the chat so I can see it. Is whether we would make this a little bit longer or keep it super focused and super tight. But the hackathon style learning sprint would be an opportunity to pair up with people who are developers or dig in and learn on your own and really take things to, take your learning into a very project-based, action-focused next step. Lit Spotlights start next. So this is our last session for Lit Labs. Those of you who are former xAPI cohort folks, that might seem kind of confusing because we're not doing this over several months. We're going to do labs and the project-based part of things over several weeks, and then switch into a series of curated technology-forward conversations. Some of them will be how-to, some of them will be demonstrations of working software that's cutting edge stuff that's super cool. And some of it will be technology forward conversations about what's going on in our space. Not so much strategy forward, not so much instructional design forward. So strategists and instructional designers, I want you to bring your I'm going to apply this, but it's not going to tell me necessarily what to do framework, right? And mindset. And then we wrap up with This Party is Lit. And so that is an in-person conference. We call it a party because it's fun and it's a celebration of learning and geekiness. But it is, we call it, it's actually a conference. And that will have more like spotlights. So again, it's not a course, it's not an education, it's demos, it's experiments, it's an opportunity to see what's now and what's current in learning technology specifically. That'll take us, right? So we're doing 3 months-ish, September, October, November for LIT. And then after that, we'll take a break at the end of the year, and in January, we will start back up. We'll start up in January with a Lit Lab. So we'll have a hackathon. We'll do spotlights, those web-based sessions, and then another This Party is Lit, which will be an in-person conference. Those are your dates. Abdullah, thanks for reaching out and helping there with information on how to get started and folks who might want to keep getting together. And our goal is to keep this as free or low cost as we humanly can, because we want to get more and more people involved and make this a welcoming community. So absolutely, we will charge a little bit if we're feeding you, but if we're not feeding you, it's all free. Check real quick to see if anybody else signed up to demo. Nope, nobody else signed up to demo. We might be at a point where we close things down for the day. Any parting thoughts from anybody for the good of the order? It's my new phrase.
Yeah, sorry, Megan. I want to add a little bit to your answer to Kushi. There are so many resources online, and free courses, for example, and to do exactly what you wanted to do. Uh, my advice to you, just based on my journey with learning data models and how to build them and how to train them and how to validate them, is to actually just start slow and small at the same time, and try to learn the basics. And once you have a good handle of the basics of how models work, you know you'll be to like branch out and do the things that you want to do. So that's my advice to you, just based on my personal experience.
And my advice is, because I've done a lot of these online courses, and the best experience I've had so far is asking ChatGPT, I want to learn this. What should I do? And then it'll ask me questions, but what do you want to do? And da 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 da. And then it developed this learning plan, and that I'm going through, and I'm learning a lot. So that's one way of approaching it.
You know what? Saying that, I'll even, if you're looking for how do I teach myself or how do I help coach others strategy, this book that I read a few years ago, oops, I'm covering up the authors here. So Vera Baum and Manuel Illy, Suzanne Ambrose does a lot of their marketing and speaking and blogging work. This is an agile approach to learning something. Not agile methods for building something, but an agile approach to learning something. So it's an interesting mindset. And you could even ask your Chat GPT to, or Claude or Gemini or whatever your tool of choice is, to walk you through an agile-based approach to learning something. It gives you nice bite-sized chunks to think about, targets. You can work in sprints. Have a retrospective with yourself. Did I learn what I wanted to learn? It's a really great, a great structure and format. And Jamie, do we have a podcast with Suzanne and Vera that Meg and I would have done for our Tangents with Torrance Learning podcast? So we can get information about that out too. So, Terry, yes. So here's the title and author for you. It's called Learners First, an Agile Approach to Learning. Clyde, see you at DevLearn. Anybody else going to DevLearn? Jamie's going to DevLearn for a little bit. All right. Well, everybody, happy Thursday.
Can you hear me real quick?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm Ismail. I came in kind of late and I had a client meeting. So, and I may have missed a little bit last week also. So, one question before we all leave, and I was going to write in the chat, but slow fingers. One question is, I know this initial time is up and we're moving to the next phase. Are we able to either A, keep working on the project potentially that we're in, or B, are we still able to create something that we had an idea about, or should we just potentially wait for like the next, iteration of all of this?
No need to wait. Keep learning. We'll leave the board up. We won't be formally checking it, supporting, coaching, demoing out. But if you want to connect up with one of us, either in Slack or respond to any of the emails, because I think you're signed up for our emails for Lit, go right ahead. Grab a team, and we love the idea of working out loud. And if you've got something you want to demo at some point, we'll make space for that to happen.
And just one point. Sorry, we're all on Slack. So if our teams are on Slack, and I think until Megan decides to oh, no more Slack, we'll be on there. So if you wanted to join a team, if you wanted to reach out with ideas, Slack is a really good place for it.
I'll just jump in here. I did join the meeting twice on my phone and so that I could get audio. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But I was going to jump in and say so there will be a spring semester of cohort as well. So if you do kind of feel like you would like to wait, or you certainly don't need to wait, but if you're wanting that more formal structure around things, we're planning to do this again. We are planning to make, so this time we had the Lit Labs was a 2-week sprint. Next time we're planning to expand that to be a 3-week sprint because 2 weeks is just a very short time to get much done, but we think that shorter time frame also kind of keeps the energy and the momentum high and going, and isn't such a long and drug out process. So anyways, with that, there will be communication if you're on the email list, and you can go to that Lit library. There'll be lots of communication out around when those dates are. We don't quite have them solidified yet, but that is on the schedule to get those solidified very, very soon. So looking forward to seeing you in the spring.
And I'll just shout out, yay teams, and huge thank you to Meg, to Jamie behind the scenes, to Hoda and Shima for all the organizing work and the support to make this happen. So, all right. Thanks everybody. Go out, make something cool, share your work.